Hey everybody, I'm Robbie.
I'm Shane.
I'm Jamie.
And we're here to talk about you. We're here to talk about me. We're here to talk about The Killing Joke.
The feel-good movie of the summer.
But only from the waist up.
Ladies and gentlemen out there, welcome to another episode. This is episode 2 of Real Talk with Robbie and Shane. We are here at facebook.com/gimmicks.inc and soon to be at gimmicksinc.com. Today we're going to talk about The Killing Joke, the movie that just came out on Blu-ray by the time that this is on the air. We saw it in a real quick showing of the Fathom Experience showing at our local Regal Cinemas. So we're here to talk about it. It's funny because for years, Mark Hamill had said, I'm done. I'm done playing the Joker, except for The Killing Joke. They finally announced it last year. They're like, it's finally going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's finally going to happen. And then they pulled the big thing. It's like, well, they got Kevin Conroy back. They got Mark Hamill back. And then the big news, we're going for an R rating.
Right.
So one thing that's actually very interesting is in the last week, I've watched 2 R-rated Batman movies. I watched the ultimate cut of Batman vs. Superman that just came out on Tuesday. And it begs the question, like, Batman and comics in general have pretty much been a kid's medium for the most part. Like, they've grown up over the last 20, 30 years, but they're funny books, they're kiddie books. Right. Especially your major, you get something like Deadpool that is always skewed older. You get something like Watchmen that can take a rated R, you get something like that. But Batman, Superman, like, a movie with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman and it was rated R. And that happened. And we just saw an R-rated cartoon of Batman. Do we need, like, that's a very interesting word, but do we need an R-rated Batman? Like, is this something, like, how do y'all feel about this?
I think we're talking at the R rating is like it's a restriction. If you think about a lot of the best movies ever made are definitely R, and they're R for a reason because they deal with more adult subject matter. Let's not fight. But, I mean, if you look at movies like The Godfather, I don't think there is a PG-13 way to tell that story and have the same impact. I think with The Killing Joke, there's not a PG-13 way to tell that story.
Okay.
I think with Batman vs. Superman, I mean, obviously there was a PG-13 way to tell that story, but the R-rated version was a little bit better. The Dark Knight was very, very close. I mean, in my opinion, The Dark Knight could have went R-rated.
Right.
With not much more added. I mean, we're not talking about, like, sadistic violence or...
Essentially, all you need, to me, is blood.
Yeah,
you have a lot of bloodless violence in Dark Knight.
Absolutely.
But you add in blood, and I think you actually probably would have come near pushing your R rating.
So I think the world has room for, like, PG-13, PG-era Batman, and G-era Batman. I mean, however you want to do it, because you can tell those stories. Maybe it's a kind of an attribute to Batman that he can be told in all those mediums.
Okay, I guess my question, and I completely in every way agree. My question, and I'll pose it to you, you don't, but say you've got a couple kids, and you're not as in tune, you're not hosting a show where you're talking about Batman.
Right.
This is a dark and scary world on the darkest timeline that you can figure out. And you go to Target, and you see this Batman movie. You know the Joker.
Right.
He was there, 89, Batman, you saw him. It's a cartoon. You flip it to the back, animated. Little Johnny and Susie at home like Batman. Let me go grab this for them.
Right. It's almost like you would be like, say you have that figure next to a Jared Leto figure.
Right.
Like, oh, okay, well, this is bright colors and comic booky, and Jared Leto looks damaged.
But even that movie's PG-13.
Yeah, but where it does, I guess it pushes it a little bit more. You would think, okay, well, clearly the Jared Leto one is the rated R one if you didn't know any better.
Right. I know, absolutely.
And then, you would buy the Killing Joke figure, give it to your kids or whatnot.
Right.
Hoping that they're playing with an innocent, fun little figure.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving the Jared Leto
Absolutely.
one behind.
Absolutely. And the PG-13 rating can be pushed. It can be
Right.
pushed, like, pretty
See,
far.
No, absolutely.
Pushing it, they pushed it in Dark Knight. Like you were saying, with the cutaway scenes, the pencil through the
yeah.
pencil trick, let's put a
the
smile on
knife
that
in
face,
the mouth,
the knife
or
in the
whatever,
mouth.
however that was happening.
That was the only thing keeping that from not being a rated R movie was the cutaway.
Absolutely. So, R-rated Batman, definitely a place for it. Hopefully, soccer moms don't ruin it for us.
Yeah.
Spoilers from here on out. So, if you have not seen the movie, stop, watch it. We'll wait on you. Welcome back. So, let's talk about this. The Killing Joke itself, me and Jamie know, you will know one day. It's a very short book. It's only it's bigger than a normal 22-page comic book, but it's like 50 pages. 50, 55, something like that. It's a very, very short book. And honestly, there's not a lot of writing in it that doesn't come from the Joker. Like, there's not a lot of dialogue. Batman doesn't have any inner monologue through the book. So you're thinking 30 minutes you could probably tell the story of the Killing Joke, and yet we go to see a movie that you said was what, an hour and 16?
Yeah, an hour and 16 minutes.
So they had to add something, and we kind of knew this was coming. They added some Batgirl backstory, and one of the things that I knew before we even went into the movie, there's a scene where Batman is kind of talking down to Batgirl, doesn't want her to get involved because it's getting too personal, this case is, and they start fighting. And Batgirl's like punching him, and like Batman's just like, whatever. And then she gets the better of him, she jumps on him, grabs him, throws him down, and then it's make-out session.
Right.
It's time, it's on, some Barry White plays in the background.
You must have saw a different movie.
None of that is true.
None of that happened.
But she gets him down, she starts making out with him, and then it's like, no, bat suits are coming off. I was unaware that Barbara Gordon would not wear a sports bra under a bat suit. That was kind of a weird...
It's about comfort, Jeff.
Well, that's what I would think.
It might protect against cats.
Anything but a straight shot. But, so there's a Batman, Batgirl sex scene in this. Well, the allusion to one. You get, like, she pulls her top off, you see her bra, it pans up, and then later down the line, she's like, yeah, we hooked up. We've seen this from Bruce Timm before.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with, what was it?
Batman Beyond.
Yeah, there was references to them having a relationship, a falling out, things like that.
What is Bruce Timm's deal with the Batman-Batgirl relationship? Because, I mean, that's... The Batgirl relationship to me has always been Robin, Dick
Right.
Grayson. It's always been a Dick Grayson-Batgirl relationship. So, does a Batman-Batgirl relationship not weird you out a little bit?
So to me, like where you go to the Robin, Barbara Gordon kind of thing, I actually go to the Batman, Jim Gordon kind of thing.
Sexual relationship?
Not sexual relationship.
You saw a different movie.
book you were reading.
Rob will never read this.
You guys are seeing movies
No,
I'm
like
not seeing.
the
books
friendship
I'm not
thing.
reading.
Like this
Right.
is what weirds me out about it is,
He's banging his best friend's daughter.
yeah, and Gordon, like Commissioner Gordon. The only thing, I mean, like, this is a weird question to ask because I'm not a parent or anything, but would he approve?
I don't think
think
so.
so. And I think that scene kind of added a little bit of betrayal in that relationship.
I think
Like,
so.
It added like kind of a black mark on that. Even though it seems like Batman was in character. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they changed the characters.
Right.
I think this was very much
But
seen
is
that
Batman
in
a heat of the
character.
moment character?
He's not. He treated the situation like the sex scene was very abrupt. It happened, but Batman was in character prior and post.
Yeah, the Bat Walk of Shame.
Yeah, the walk of shame happened. That happened.
She has the weird like, hey, what are we now? Phone call.
Yeah.
And Batman's like, oh, we'll talk about
It was almost like Facebook messages we weren't meant to see.
it. Exactly. Like, suddenly Barbara Gordon's Facebook status went to "It's complicated."
And then it changes. I think it changes the dynamic of what happens slightly. And I'm not like I'll need to see it a couple more times.
Right.
I'm not sure if it changed it for the better.
Right.
But I won't go as far as saying that it ruined the movie.
Right. No,
it
absolutely
definitely did not.
But moving off of that, let's talk about the movie.
But as soon as we heard that was happening, and obviously knowing it was an iconic book, and they were going to do the movie, you wouldn't want anybody but Bruce Timm doing it. You wouldn't want anybody but Mark Hamill coming back, Kevin Conroy, Tara Strong. It's like the whole reunion of the Batman animated series.
No, I agree. And one of the things with those animated movies that have been coming out, I've expressed aggravation at times whenever they brought back Kevin Conroy. Because I thought we had some great Batmans in those movies. Bruce Greenwood in Red Hood was amazing. Jeremy Sisto in New Frontier was great.
Peter Weller.
Peter Weller was great. The Billy Baldwin, not so much.
Ben McKenzie was Batman in
Year One. I thought we had some great Batmans, so it would always be like I liked discovering these new Batmen, I guess. And it was always like every time they would announce, "Oh, we're going back to Kevin Conroy." Like I love Kevin Conroy. Honestly, when I read Batman comics, that's who I hear in my head. It will always be Kevin Conroy. But I enjoyed hearing somebody else. But I agree, when it comes to this one, I think if you're getting Hamill, it has to be Conroy.
Anytime you have one and not the other, it's almost
absolutely.
like you're being cheated.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's like, hey, here's your peanut butter, where's your jelly? What's going on here?
With the voices, it felt the Killing Joke actually felt like it was in the animated series.
It did a bit.
It felt like that. It had the art style, got some, criticism, which we'll talk about later. But it felt very similar to Batman the animated series, and I didn't quite get that from the trailers.
Right.
But the movement, the way everything was unfolding, the way the scenes were cut. It felt very much like that, like they wanted Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill to be the main idea, the main show around this.
Absolutely.
And I think that dynamic between the two works perfectly, and I don't think you can really get better than those two, as long as it is those two.
Yeah. And so, voice cast all around. I mean, you've got Mark Hamill playing the role he loved, wanted for so long. You got Kevin Conroy coming back to the voice that he's always been associated with. He is Batman to a whole generation of people, I'm certain, not just me.
Right.
So the performances were good. Hamill did great.
Oh, it was really cool too, like especially with him with the flashbacks before he became the Joker. Just hearing Mark Hamill as a normal person.
Yes.
Like the struggling dude who's trying to take care of, his family and his needs. And it took a second to pick up on. You're like, wait a second, it's still Mark.
I thought it was a different actor. I totally thought it was a different actor until like they were at the table, sitting down at the table with the dude. He was at the table before the cops came in, and then he just had that.
He's kind of the drunk.
It was that twang. Not twang. That's a bad way, but there was this thing that I picked up on immediately, and it was like pre-Joker.
It was like the cadence of his voice was like a really calm Joker.
Yeah.
There was no chaos in his mind.
Absolutely.
He was very focused. It was just really interesting to see Mark Hamill do that take on that character.
One thing that I will give it I didn't like, Robbie, the book starts, you probably were able to pick it up. Killing Joke starts with the Batmobile rolling up to Arkham. Those are the first panels. You see the headlights, the Batmobile rolls up. The first 2 or 3 pages of the book are in silence. I wish they'd have kept it that way. Batman is silent, but you have Commissioner Gordon be like, "What are you planning on doing?" And like he's talking to him through the thing, and I think that would have been cool with just a score of being like, "No, this is serious."
I've always heard that the beginning of the Arkham Asylum game was very.
It's very
close
influenced
to
on that. Yes.
I think the narration. I was actually almost immediately disappointed when it started with narration.
The Batgirl
The
narration.
Batgirl narration. I I don't know if disappointment. It was just kind of like
It was too on the
they didn't
nose
do it.
because she starts off with like, "This isn't how you expected this to start.
Yeah.
Not with me." And I'm like, "Yeah, no."
Yeah, and it was kind of like, well, you let us down, and now you want us to acknowledge that.
Yeah. It's like, this isn't the Christmas gift you expected. This is socks. I'm like, I don't want socks. I miss the because the book has when the Batmobile pulls into the amusement park. The book has the reprise of the "I'm here to talk about you, about me." It has the reprise of that initial sit-down meeting. I was hoping they would do that in voiceover, but they didn't, and I felt that was lacking in this movie.
I think, and I really need to take a look back through it, just especially from some of the dialogue, but I feel like sometimes some things were said that were only actually inferred.
There was a bit of that.
There was a bit of that, and I really need to look back over the dialogue, but it did feel like some lines were just kind of like redundant, like a little bit redundant from what was happening. Like it was almost treating you like, and maybe because The Killing Joke may not be made for people that have read The Killing Joke, they obviously want it to stand on its own
Right.
as a film, but it did feel like they treated the people like we've obviously already read it,
Mm-hmm.
but it felt like it was more geared to someone that hasn't read it.
Right.
And so they tried to kind of compensate with empty lines. I
Right.
just felt like it was so
Exposition.
Just unnecessary exposition, unnecessary sequences. One thing I started actually having problems with was the vehicles. I don't know if it was actually the filming. It might have actually been the theater. It actually might have been the film, and I'll need to see it on Blu-ray before I can totally make like a final
Right.
kind of look at this. But it seemed like there were missing frames with moving objects, and I don't know if that was intentional to the art style.
There was some scenes that,
Some
like the
jugger.
cars, especially the carousel.
Yes.
That was completely like not even the same type of animation. That was just weird.
That was that
looking.
weird 3D
Yeah.
animation that we're gonna layer, and the cars are like that. You always get that with cars in animated movies for some reason,
You do, it's digital
because they do that
concepts.
weird, like they'll do this weird stuff. I always loved. I did pick up. There's nobody on the streets of Gotham
Yeah.
ever. Only the vehicles that need to be chased and/or the Batmobile.
Yeah. But another thing is that carried over to a couple of the fight scenes.
Do you know enough about animation to understand like animating on the ones, animating on the twos?
Yes, I do understand.
It sounds like parts of this movie felt like they were animating on the like 13ths.
Yes.
Like you're getting 2 frames a second for some of these fights.
Batgirl was winding up for a punch and kicking Batman upside the head.
Exactly. There were so many times I was like, I wish this had a $50 million budget.
Yeah.
And you could have done this story, animating it on the ones or animating it on the twos, getting it like nice frame rate, smooth animation.
It also kind of hurt the backgrounds a little bit. The carnival, I felt like should have jumped out more,
Mm-hmm.
but they kept it as like, do you remember the old pre-rendered backgrounds, PlayStation 2, Resident Evil
Yes.
style? The carnival felt like a Resident Evil background. Like I felt like zombies in the Tyrant were just going to come out and hurt me.
Well, it's one of the Batman the Animated Series things. Well, the big thing was it was drawn on black background, so that the colors popped. I didn't get that with that.
I didn't. I also got I don't want to.
You got that one shot where the Joker like turns and he's seeing everything lit
Yeah.
up and the sparkles are in his eyes. You get that.
That should have actually been how the whole movie should have.
Absolutely.
The iconic shot. Like I would actually for that scene. I would actually go out and pay money for that artwork framed from that film.
Absolutely.
Because that to me was a perfect scene, and it was it did 2 things. It made you see the craziness in the Joker in his eyes, and then it made you realize like something sparked that. Something just happened to spark that madness.
That was a kid on Christmas.
Absolutely, and it was very much that I just opened a present and it was dead Batman. That was it. That's the Joker's
terrible
Christmas.
Christmas.
I mean, well, for the Joker.
All right. So wrapping up, we've seen it. It seems like Killing Joke has been this thing that they've held, the carrot that's been at the end of the stick for years. We've talked about it for years. When is it coming? So we've seen it. It's happened. The Blu-ray is literally on store shelves right now. Should they go see it? Should they go buy it?
I haven't seen one of these DC animation movies that I just don't like.
I've yet to see one that I hated.
Yeah, it's like everyone.
Throne of Atlantis was a little weird.
Yeah, that's probably the only one, but at the end of the day, it was still fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like you have this one done as part of their animation series. You have to get it. Just like I have to go home and read this after we get done
Yes,
here
you
today.
do. I
So,
wish that you would have thought of that before we got here.
If
31 years ago.
yeah, but if you like these movies, yeah, you're gonna want to own it.
Are they buying it?
Yeah, it's a buy. Even though I've got criticisms, it's still the core. It's still everything I've loved about. I mean, it's a Joker. Batman does kind of take the back seat to the Killing Joke. We saw that in The Dark Knight. That was the inspiration. Batman takes the back seat. This is very much a definitive Joker. That's what they want on the animated. I have criticisms, but it's absolutely a buy. I plan on watching it several more times. Is it perfect? No. And I don't think I'll ever be happy until The Killing Joke is actually made into a live action film. Because that's like if I'm ever a secret billionaire, if that ever happens, I'm going to bankroll one.
That would be good.
Until that happens, this is probably the best we're going to get. I think it's going to be the only animated adaptation we're going to get. And it is what it is, but it's actually good. It's very good, I think.
All right, I'm right in there. I say here's the thing, I will buy. Like I said, I've already bought it. We know this conversation that's happened. I think I start at the beginning of The Killing Joke when I rewatch it. I don't know if I'm watching a lot of that first part Batgirl stuff. But I'm definitely saying buying it if you're a comic book fan, if you've been buying these DC animated movies, if you're a fan of Batman, the Joker, this is the thing to watch, this is the thing to buy. So hopefully after watching this, you've not had a bad day. I'm Shane.
I've been Robbie.
I'm Jamie.
And this is Real Talk. We'll see you next time.